Today, I want to share with you my favorite story that spells a huge difference in the lives of many, and certainly this will include you. Li Van Vu and His Unstoppable Determination, written by Grace D. Hart from Research. One of the most unforgettable stories ever told by John McCormack was about this man from Vietnam who lost everything and how he gained them all back and lived to be one of the most inspiring human being you could ever meet. He is not a tech billionaire and may not be popular, but he is like us, in many ways only different in his unstoppable determination. It all started in Vietnam. Decades ago, Le Van Vu's family was one of the wealthiest families in Asia. To stir your imagination, this wealth consists of almost one-third of North Vietnam, including valuable real estate and industrial properties. However, Li Van Vu's father was savagely murdered when Li was just a young boy. After his father's death, he relocated to South Vietnam, where he lived with his mother. Li went to law school and there became a lawyer. Li then entered the construction and development industries, where he soon became known as one of the most successful businessmen in South Vietnam. When he traveled to North Vietnam, Li was arrested and forcefully jailed for 3 years. Knowing that his entire life would be ruined if he remained in jail, Li Van Vu had to escape from prison and was fortunate enough to have successfully made it back to South Vietnam. But the sad thing was, he had to kill 5 North Vietnamese soldiers to escape. He was forced by circumstances because he has no fault of his own to forfeit his freedom to live a normal life with his family. Upon returning to the South, Li Van Vu did not expect he would be arrested because the government of South Vietnam thought of him now as a spy from the North, having left prison before his sentence was over. So he was back with the same predicament, prison. He stayed in prison for a few years and then he was released. Not losing hope, he started a fishing company. And not just a fishing company. It became the largest canner in South Vietnam. But he had served in 2 prisons and this he could not forget. The injustice there made him think there must be somewhere else he could build his future with his family. Le Van Vu was born into prestigious and wealthy family and he is used to comfort, but nevertheless suffered a great deal of misfortune not because of his laziness or his own infractions. In this part of the world, he thinks that people are not so free to be their best self. Always there is something or some political matter that would get into play to obstruct your dream. When Lee learned that the US troops were leaving South Vietnam, he made a decision to leave as well. Li Van Vu gathered all of his money, the most valuable gold and other light but valuable possessions, and put them all in his fishing boat. And he did his best to bribe the American soldiers to take him and his wife with them. All the wealth in exchange of a better place, a better country to live in. What happened next was him being given passage to the Philippines before the US troops were where the US troops were headed. But then he was left with absolutely nothing. No shelter, no money, no gold, nothing. He has to start again like many other refugees. With nowhere to go, there was only one thing he and his wife could turn to, the refugee camp, where everyone, rich and poor, are all equal. But probably this was a stroke of luck because while in this refugee camp, he met the President of the Philippines. Lee had no possessions, but he was educated and skillful. He has an unstoppable spirit to rise up after each fall. He convinced the president to make just one of his boats available for fishing. With one boat, Lee started another fishing business, and in 2 years' time, he had amazingly turned this small opportunity into a flourishing fishing industry, starting with just one boat. Not even his Filipino peers have made such a remarkable progress in all their years fishing, but Levan Vu did it in only 2 years' time. Yet Lee is not yet settled, since his main goal is to live in a country full of opportunities and freedom to be his best self without being limited, and his choice was America. He and his wife were not contented to just survive and be successful in one particular business in the Philippines. For him, it was not enough. However, like most human beings approaching midlife, he thought it has become so tiring, a tiring thing to be moving again and experience the same hopelessness, having to start all over again with nothing. En route to the US via ship, Levan Vu was overtaken by depression, and it crossed his mind that their journey seemed to be a never-ending battle where they did not seem to progress from. He wanted to end his life, to end his suffering, to rest his tired soul. He was ready to give up. He does not want to be poor again and unknown, and with simply nothing to be proud of. He was decided to jump off the ship when his wife found him on the railing. She desperately said, "Lee, if you do jump, whatever will become of me? We've been together for so long and through so much. We can do this together." Her words gave a kind of jolt to Lee's spirit. He thought maybe we can really start again. Lee Van Vu and his wife arrived in the US in 1972, not understanding English or anything American except that he knows it's a powerful and beautiful country where everyone has freedom. Fortunately, Lee had a cousin who allowed Lee and his wife to live in the back room of the cousin's bakery in a shopping mall. It was a stark contrast to his previous life. Lee and his wife would live in a storage room in the back of the bakery. This bakery has no bathroom, of course, as it is only a part of a shopping mall. It was not bad at all in this country. Lee's cousin employed both Lee and his wife in the bakery. Their combined income is $300 a week. They had a total annual income of $15,600. Even more, Lee's cousin offered to sell to Lee the bakery as long as Lee could make a $30,000 down payment. The rest of the purchase could be financed for $90,000. With their annual income, Lee and his wife could have gotten an apartment. They have enough to pay for a car and utilities and more. Maybe live like most Americans, free to spend their earnings, drive anywhere. But these things did not happen. Lee has a better and bigger goal, and spending all their hard-earned money is not part of it. They needed to sacrifice more before they could enjoy. So Lee and his wife calculated that they cannot buy the bakery if they spend anything for their personal wants. Hence, they decided not to get an apartment. No car, no gas, no utilities to pay. They continued to live in the back room of the bakery until they could buy the bakery outright. Continued their sponge bath. This entailed sacrifices. They continued to live in the back room for 2 years, and eat free baked goods from the bakery. They limited their total expenses to $600 per year, when it's triple of this amount a month, which is being spent by ordinary Americans during those days. In exactly 2 years, Lee and his wife saved up $30,000 for the down payment to purchase the bakery from his cousin. Everyone knows that renting an apartment would lead to so much more expenses like furniture, car insurance, house insurance, cooking utensils, power, water, tissue papers, and a lot more. And with the car, they would be tempted to go places they didn't even plan to visit. As if their goal is not yet over, they stretched their spirit more and decided to live in the bakery to complete the $90,000 balance, to fully pay the bakery, leaving them no debts to worry about. It was unbelievable because in 1 year's time, Lee Van Vu and his wife was able to save every single penny and paid their balance of $90,000 completely. To stress, this happened all in 1 year. So in a total of 3 years, with nothing in their pockets, Lee Van Vu once again acquired a profitable business with no single debt, from being a depressed broke to having a lot of hope. I've forgotten how many times I shared it with my friends and family and to those who are ready to listen. We can all be rich. You can start right where you are, specifically within yourself. Imagine having the willpower and the drive to improve your life is what sets you apart from the ordinary people who spend the money and endlessly and mindlessly. It might be hard these days because there's almost always something to spend our money for. We are easily reached by advertisements and we spend so much on cell phones and car upgrades. Then upgrade our bank accounts. People do not realize that the cost of your phone may be all that you need to start making $1 million now, that could later on multiply to infinity. Again, if you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. Who knows, this may be the single jolt of inspiration they need to change their economic life. Ciao, and please hear from us again. Thank you.